Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Balance Talk. Today with the third episode. And today, me and Smeargollum, or I'm joined with Smeargollum.
Hello.
Yes, and today we are going to talk about fears, stunts, and fear resistance. So, what do we have today? In the game, there are several abilities or buildings that can induce fear or stuns. Which means that the units will run away and you can't control them for a while, and stuns will you can also not control them for a while because they are not moving. And also, on the opposite of that, you have fear resistance, which is also the same as stun resistance, so it's both which prevents your units from being feared or stunned. And we're gonna talk, and there are several things about this topic which can be frustrating, or about fears and stun effects, because some factions have little possibility to counter it, and even if you have possibilities, they may not be sufficient in one way or another. And also for sieging, things like the lanterns of Lorien can be very frustrating. And yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. And yeah, so Smeargollum, what do you think, actually? What do you think about this
Yeah,
topic?
so I think it's an interesting topic, and I think that every faction really needs a fear resistance, so that some factions that don't have it, like Angmar or Isengard, can get one, so they can actually prevent themselves from just dying in the late game to archer clumps with stuns, or just dying in general because they are stunned all the time. Yeah, I think
Yes.
as long as every faction has a fear resistance, the way to counter stuns and fear, it's a really nice thing to have
Yeah.
stuns and so on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good starting point here, I think. Not every faction has fear resistance, which of course can be a huge disadvantage against certain things. For example, I mean, for example, Lorien has Haldir with a stun arrow, and that can be very strong if you don't have fear resistance. And yeah, so Angmar doesn't have fear resistance at all, or something, I think.
Yeah,
Is there any ability that gives Angmar fear resistance? I don't think so.
yeah, except level 5 units, no. Don't think
No,
so
no, level
either.
5 units only give fear resistance for Orokai,
Yeah,
for the captain upgrade. So that's Isengard's fear
well,
resistance?
but
Hmm?
every level 5 units is fear resistant, right?
I don't think so.
Not? Oh,
No, I think that's just the captains, which bring you to level 5 also, but the Oro captains. So that's for
mm,
Isengard, they have the Oro captains, which give fear resistance. Um, but that's obviously very late in the game. You might not even get that at all in most games. So Isengard, for the most part, also has no fear resistance. And
yeah,
what else? Does Lorien have fear resistance, for
yeah,
example?
just with the minstrels or singers or whatever they're called. They
Yeah.
have one, but it's also pretty hard to get. Not really affordable in most games.
Yeah, you don't see the ministers that often.
Yeah.
Um, then we have the horn is one of the more common fear resistance thing. So the spellbook horn, so that is Gondor, Rohan, and Dwarf have that.
Yeah.
And does Isengard still have a horn?
No, it
No.
doesn't.
Right. So and the horn is another thing. Sometimes it's not. It's very useful, of course, because you can get fear resistance anywhere at any time. Or well, not at any time. It has a cooldown, and sometimes the cooldown can be longer than fear abilities, which is
Yeah.
really annoying.
Yeah.
And yeah, so fear resistance. That's the first problem here, I guess. As fear resistance, it's not always available, right?
Yeah.
But it probably should be. I mean,
Mhm.
the thing is, obviously, if you make it too available, or if you make it all existing, then obviously fears and stuns, they will do nothing anymore. So you have to find the right balance. But as of right now, I mean, some factions straight up barely have fear resistance at all, or so,
Yeah.
which
So
is a problem.
yeah, I think for example in 4.4.1 or also before there were like really a lot of fear resistance. Also because like every faction had a horn spell. So heroes like Boromir were rather useless because like the horn just did nothing.
I
But
mean, yeah,
yeah, but now like factions like Gondor, they have like the horn on the one hand and also Faramir or Rohan as the captains that give you resistance. So I think for those two factions as an example, it's quite okay from fear resistance point of view. But like a lot of other factions, especially like Angmar or Isengard as mentioned before, have nothing at all. So stuns really kill them.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, Boromir. I mean, that wasn't the only reason Boromir wasn't that built that often. I mean, Gimli was
Yeah,
still built,
true.
and he still had a horn, which was really nice.
Yeah. But he has had another useful ability
Yes,
before.
yes. Obviously, has other uses as well. But yeah, so I guess they didn't back then. They didn't really. The fear stuns still had some purpose, right? They would sometimes still be useful,
Yeah, sure.
even if they so and so, which I guess says that stuns don't have to be useless just because fear resistance is more available. I guess.
Yeah, true.
Um. So right now, probably too little. And another thing, I think. So talking about like fear resistance, it's like, what's the problem if you don't have fear resistance? Where or rather, what is the problem if you're getting stunned and feared all the time? What's gonna happen to you then? Well, the short version is obviously that your units are gonna die for free because they can't fight back. Um, but what does it synergize well with? Gollum?
Yeah, so I think especially it synergizes well with archers because they can just shoot safely from a distance and be completely safe. And it also is good for heroes, I think, because the heroes can just like run in a clump or do some strong AoE abilities there, for example, or chase down an enemy's hero or stuff like that. So it promotes like more archer or hero heavy gameplay, I would say. And it's also really strong to counter Cuff, for example, because you can just stun them when they charge in and then kill them before they can get out of the stun again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I mean, for cavalry, it's a good counter against them because it drops them of one of the advantages, which is speed, obviously. And also, they are not gonna benefit as much as other units probably because the stuns, because they're already faster than other units. I mean, it's gonna help make it. Obviously, it's would make it easier to avoid pikes if they are stunned, but can still theoretically do that without the stun. Sometimes, I mean, depending on your
Yeah.
opponent's pike micro placement, then it will be easier or harder. But yeah, archers are a good thing, good benefactors. Also, for fear, of course, when you fear enemy units, they will run away, which will mean that sword units will not be, or melee units in general won't be very great against that because chasing doesn't work very well.
Yeah. But the fear effect actually synergizes very well with cavalry. Like stuns
Yeah,
not
that's
that
true.
well, but the fear is extremely good for cavalry because you just destroy the army positioning of the opponent. So the pikes and the swords and archers just get separated and you can like pick your target with your cavalry.
Yep, that's true. That's true. But yeah, but fear does not synergize this very well with melee units because either it's gonna send the unit away or into your own clumps. I mean, probably it's gonna be a bit of both. And I mean, if it sends them away, they won't be able to chase them because, or I mean, most likely they won't be able to really deal damage by chasing them. And if it sends them into your clump, they would die against an archer clump as much as they would die against a melee clump. So,
Yeah.
yeah, archers. Generally the benefactor, I guess. And that also kind of brings you to what is most frustrating to play against in this scenario, in this with this aspect of stunts is that I mean usually Lorien Saldia arrow right is very annoying because it's a range stun. It comes at level 3, which is pretty early.
Yeah.
Earlier than pretty much any spell, any ability from heroes of comparable cost. I mean, Gambling Thorn is at 5 now, I think.
Yeah, it's on 5 now.
Boromir's is at 4.
3.
Of also
3.
3. Okay, Boromir's is
But
also
he's more
3.
yeah. Oh no, he isn't really more expensive anymore. I remember.
No, he isn't any more expensive, but it's also not ranged. So
Yeah.
a range stun is very useful, and also Lorien has a lot of archers, or I mean, can have a lot of archers with Silverthorn in late game,
Mhm.
and then they can just shoot at your units while they're stunned with Falti's arrow pretty early in the game, also later in the
Yeah.
game, and it's gonna be really annoying.
And when we were already talking about Lorien, and it's obviously a big topic to talk about sieging Lorien with the lanterns there, which just like cause a fear effect every 40 seconds now, I think. So you can basically build a lot of lanterns at your base that cause each every 40 seconds a fear effect. So when you don't have really a lot of or passive anti-fear
Yeah.
resistance, you really can't attack that base and finish your opponent, which is extremely
Yes.
frustrating.
Yeah, your only option then is to like get catapults to destroy the lanterns, I guess.
Yeah, but they tank a lot as well.
Exactly. So that's also another thing. Like even if you have free resistance options to them,
Yeah.
then the enemy might just overwhelm you with whatever they have to make fear or stuns. So, like
Mm.
for example, if you're attacking Lorien base, then maybe you can have the Gondor Horn to withstand the first lantern or maybe even the second lantern or whatever. But then eventually those 30 seconds will run up of fear resistance, and the third lantern will make your units run out of the base again. And you're probably not gonna need more than 30 seconds to kill the base anyway. So,
Yeah.
and then you have to wait again for the horn, which is a problem.
Or you need Faramir with a passive fear
Exactly.
resistance.
So a very huge difference there in that case against of active versus passive fear resistance. Because passive fear
Yeah.
resistance, of course, always protects you.
Yeah. But it's also not that exciting to have in the game. But that's like from balance point
Yeah,
of view
that's
not
true.
the most important thing.
Um, I mean, yeah, but the game should still be enjoyable. I mean, maybe
Yeah,
that
that's
should be
true.
part of maybe that's like part of definition of balance that you. Nah, I don't know. I mean, if every faction was the same, that would be balanced.
Yeah.
But
Just play
anyways,
chess. No, it's not balanced.
uh, huh?
Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's a good point though. Like, what would be the right balance, or how would passive resistance be? Okay, and that's a bit of a hard question. I guess passive fear resistance
Mm.
shouldn't be that easily available, right? So
Yeah.
it shouldn't
Like
be available in the early game probably, because if
mm,
it were, then you could just get in the early game, and probably if whatever you can get in the early game, you can probably easily get in the late game as well. So you're never gonna have a problem with that, and that would be
yeah, not good.
basically eliminating stuns in a way,
Mm.
possibly.
Yeah, so I think that every faction really needs access to some form of active fear resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that at some point, some kind of passive leadership, fear resistance, I mean, is also important or like just a good thing. But just as long as you can still snipe the unit or hero that gives that
Yeah,
fear
probably.
resistance, I would say. So for
Yeah, I
example,
think it
by
would be.
Rohan, you have set captains that give passive fear resistance, but you can still like snipe them with archers or so, and then use your stuns again and force them to use an active fear resistance. So I
Yeah,
think that's rather interesting.
I agree there. Also, yeah, Faramir, I guess, as well. You can snipe him. I mean, you know that if your enemy has a Faramir of a certain level, that he will give fear resistance. So, and that's gonna be pretty easy to recognize as well.
Yeah,
Minstrels, I guess, the same. They can,
yeah,
but ministers, I guess, aren't too viable right now, or not. I don't know. It's hard to say.
yeah. I think you're the only one using them, to be honest.
I'm not really using. I'm not even using them really that often.
Well, but you got them once.
Yeah, I got them once. I mean, I used them a bunch of times, a few times when 4.5 came out, I think. But it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a different topic. But there are also a possibility for feed resistance if you need one. Does Haldir give feed resistance? Haldir's level
Um,
5.
I don't think so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Right. But yeah, I think that's generally not a bad idea. Is to have like one like active feed resistance, either very limited and then like passive feed resistance that can be sniped, or like yeah, that's like coupled to units that are somehow maybe restricted or not that easy to get in many units, or maybe just support units like ministers. Or alternatively, maybe just a lot of active abilities which give feed resistance. Like, for example, Yuyo, I've seen Yuyo suggest to give for Angmar the sorcerer's feed resistance. And that, for example, would be something where you could have multiple sorcerer units with active feed resistance, and that might be enough because it wouldn't be like just one spell, but you could get more of it if you wanted to, or less of it.
Yeah, I agree. So I think for Angmar, which doesn't have a fear resistance right now, Sorcerers would be really a super cool unit to give the fear resistance
I
to.
mean, you of course already like sorcerers.
Yeah, but with that I would like them even more. And I think that would be a nice option to just give them a new spell or like integrate it in one of their spells they already have so
Yes.
they have a fear resistance.
Yeah, I think that would be a good candidate.
Yeah.
I don't know that I think about it. There should probably still be some other for sort of fear resistance, maybe in some sort of leadership, because otherwise you are reliant on one unit, which makes them maybe a
Yeah.
bit too forced.
I could also imagine like having the unit with that chosen unit of Mordamuff or Monamuff, whatever.
Yeah,
So
that's
he can like
yeah,
mark one unit for leadership. That maybe also gives uh, fear resistance. That could work as well, I guess.
yeah, that's true. That could work as well. Would be an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Much about Isengard. Where could Isengard get fear resistance?
Yeah, I think for Isengard it's a bit harder to find
Yeah,
a good option because they don't have a unit like Sorceress or something.
exactly. They
And
don't have that many units. They don't have that many healers either.
yeah, and like Lutz and Ugluk, to whom that would be fitting, they are already super strong and have good leaderships. So that
Yes.
might be a bit overloading them, if that's an English term. I don't know.
Yeah, overloading, sure. Um,
Nice.
I think
I
that
got it.
I think that works.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. Like Lutz already gives a very strong leadership, so and Ugluk as well. And they're already pretty strong.
Mm.
I guess you always build them anyway, so maybe you could argue at this point why not give them also fear resistance.
Yeah, but then you would have like that passive
Yeah,
auto fear resistance.
exactly. And you
That's
would,
not wished anymore.
yeah, I mean, if it
Like,
probably wouldn't be good in the long run because eventually you would have to take it away if there would be other sources of fear resistance.
yeah, maybe give it like as active ability, like the level 3 one already for Grima or
Hmm.
Warm Tongue. I don't know.
Yeah, but
So
yeah, in general, Isengard just doesn't have that many units available, I guess,
yeah,
after the
like
level 2 switch.
like I'd suggest to give it to Wolfgar, but I don't think that's very fitting.
It's not, no, it's not very fitting. It also probably wouldn't be doing that much because you would still have
Yeah.
to build Wolfgar, and that would already be pretty big. And then you would probably have to level because you probably wouldn't give it to him at level 1.
Yeah, probably. So
Maybe you can give it to Mine Berserkers. That might not be very
maybe, yeah.
thematically fitting, but well, actually, that's all. That wouldn't be very fitting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. Captains, I guess, are an
Mm.
option, but they are really late.
Yeah, it would also be an option to change them, so you get
Maybe.
them maybe as a single unit. That,
Maybe you
but I
could
don't know,
have.
just a random idea. Just like a single unit that gives fear resistance, but doesn't have a standard
uh,
attack or something like that.
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you could have something like. I guess the tier 3 spells are already equal spells.
Yeah.
So those wouldn't be very fitting, but have some spell that gives like that can give a unit. Nah, I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah.
You have a
Maybe
spell that gives unit free upgrades or something with captains. I
the
mean that.
lumber mill workers.
Yes, nah, that wouldn't really.
Yeah.
That's pretty reaching. I think
Mm.
probably.
Yeah.
Do the Ravens give fear resistance?
No, I don't think so.
No, I also don't
Also,
think
no,
so.
they don't. Um, Another faction that also I don't think has, or has just a few fear resistance is Mordor. I think they only got like drummer trolls. Am I
Yeah, I
right?
guess.
Or is Gothmog a thing as well?
I don't think so. Drama trolls, I guess. I mean,
Yeah,
does Mordor need fear resistance? Maybe.
that's the next question. Yeah, actually, I don't know. Like, I think it's not that big,
Yeah, he
such a
does
big
have fear
issue for
resistance,
them.
Gothmog, apparently. Dang.
Echt? Okay. Yeah, really?
Echt?
Okay. Lol.
In der Tat. So,
Ooh.
I mean, Mordor already has so many units which are mostly used for sponging up damage, or at least in the
Yeah.
later stages of the game. So maybe you could argue that, or maybe you could say Mordor doesn't really need fear resistance because they can already tank so much.
Yeah, and also Mordor has like a lot of free stuff, like
Yeah,
free orcs, so you don't mind it that much when they die.
yeah. Like if there is a faction that could be like the fearless free or less fear resistance faction, that I guess it would be Mordor, and maybe there could be
Yeah.
like an interesting aspect to its faction. Uh,
Yeah, maybe.
if it were the only one in that case, with that.
Mm.
But yeah, another thing that could be done, I guess, is reducing stuns or nerfing stuns. Um, the Haldius arrow is pretty early and really strong. I think that one might be a good candidate to
Yeah.
push towards the later stages.
Well, but I actually
I
think
don't know.
that now that Haldi already costs like
Maybe.
1,600, it's not that big of a deal when you compare it with a hero in that price class, for example, with Lutz or Narin. I mean, Lutz or Ugluk.
Yeah, I
It's
guess
okay,
not.
I think.
Another idea, yeah. I think another idea I had with Haldir specifically was maybe having the arrow be upgraded at level 10. Then it would be,
Yeah.
at the beginning it wouldn't be that strong.
I think Darking did a quite interesting suggestion on that topic.
Where he just said suggested to switch it with like one of the later spells, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was like swapping the level 10 ability to level 1 with a few less of the guards and yeah, something like that. And then have this arrow on level 7 or something like that, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. Where to switch it, then it would be kinda. I mean, you would have a lot of abilities towards the end.
Yeah.
I guess highest arrow isn't the worst right now, because he's a bit more expensive now. And that was also reduced in duration. But yeah, talking about duration reducing, that's actually another thing that I wanted to talk about is what if the stuns would, or if, at least if some stuns or if earlier stuns would be very short, like maybe 2 or 3 seconds, like. I mean, that would obviously be a huge nerf. You wouldn't be, and it would kind of be used. Well, at least with melee units, you couldn't easily get in the round in that time. With archer units, obviously, it wouldn't just be less time for them to shoot at them. And maybe that would be a little bit less frustrating. Not strong. I mean, obviously, it would be less strong.
Yeah, but I actually think that the duration of most stuns is not that big of a problem. Like when you look at something like Shelob, for example.
Yeah.
For me, it always feels like now with the newest fix that you just stun something, and until you can really do anything against that, it's already free again. So not that you need to buff it again, but I
Yeah.
don't think you need to
Yeah, and I don't need to buff
smash on
Shelob
it
again.
further with the nerf
Yeah,
hammer.
I think that might also not be the best idea. So yeah, other than that, the building stuns of like mortar statues and Lorien lamps are, I don't know,
They need to nerf, in my
another
opinion.
nerf. I mean, yeah, they were already nerfed in the latest version, luckily, but I guess more wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
I
I agree.
don't know. It's yeah, you can just have so many of them. That's the thing.
Yeah,
But I guess it also kind of ties into Siege and other Siege things. Like Lorien Space isn't just strong with because of the lamps. But that's a topic for another time.
mhm.
But yeah, any faction that could be interesting with stuns or fear resistance that don't have enough fear resistance, maybe.
Like when you look at Imladris, for example, they're only Kildan has it, right? Or
Maybe
am I
Illibrand?
overseeing? I think he doesn't, right? So I
Uh,
think like the Lawmasters would be a good unit as well to have some form of active fear resistance, in my
yeah.
opinion. Just similar to the Sorcerers.
Yeah, I guess Lore Masters already all of them have damaging abilities, right? Maybe not all of them,
Yeah,
but so maybe it would make sense to have like a supporting Lore Master category.
yeah, I
But
generally
changing that
think,
right now, I don't know if that. I mean,
yeah,
I
maybe.
guess you had to remove some other Lore Masters for that, or some other Lore
Yeah,
Master abilities would be the problem
mm.
there.
Yeah, it was just a random idea.
Yeah, just a random idea. I mean, nothing against brainstorming, right?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's not a bad idea. Could give
maybe
the
it
Last
is.
Alliance guys fear resistance.
Lol.
I mean, they already fought in the Last Alliance, so I mean, they're not gonna be afraid of something, and they're gonna be
Wait,
inspiring to the other units.
wait, Last Alliance spell, what is that? Is that the
Not a
stuff that
spell,
comes with Gilgalad?
not a spell. The units that you can recruit.
You meant those. Okay.
The heroic units, yes.
Yeah, I got it. They exist as well. True.
Yeah, they exist. Um, but yeah, in general, yeah, I think like Gondor, I guess you need Faramir right now. I mean, the Horn sometimes is enough.
Yeah, but I
But
actually think Farmy is okay
Yeah, yeah.
that you get him.
And Rohan, like those are the factions where free resistance is possibly enough and right, like in an interesting way, right, where you have like specific units that can give passive, and then there's like your horn that can give you active free resistance, and also does Fearden give free resistance when he's freed? Probably,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, maybe, yeah.
I'm pretty sure if he does. Fearden the corrupted, of course, gives something negative free resistance or something, but nobody
Yeah,
knows what
so
that is.
you,
Nobody knows
well,
what that means.
I don't know either for sure, but I guess it's something like trolls, for example, gives that random fear effect at sometimes. So maybe when Theoden stands next to your peasants, that occurs a little more often.
Maybe. That's
I don't
like
know.
the best guess I would have to like. Oh yeah, troll giving fear can also be sometimes annoying, especially when you have
Yeah,
elite pikes of inverters or something, and they're like, "Dang it, your elite pikes of inverters. Why are you afraid of this
yeah.
measly troll?"
Or when you want to creep a troll
Uh,
and your units are just feared and
yeah,
don't
but
move and
but
die.
usually you can. It's not a big deal. I mean, usually it doesn't
Yeah,
happen if you're quick. Basically, if you're quick with your like micro, right?
yeah.
If you don't have your units standing next to the troll for too long, they usually don't get feared.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, anyways, that was maybe a bit off topic.
Maybe.
I mean, technically, it's still on topic, I guess. Here's a hot take. Trolls giving fear is not what's ruining Edine right now. Creep trolls, at least.
All right.
But in general, yeah, I think that pretty much concludes this episode, right? We talked pretty extensively about things. So good ideas about fear resistance and possible fear resistance implications, possibilities, whatever.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say that's left? That's on your mind
Um.
about
Mm,
this topic?
buff sorcerers.
Buff
Let's go.
sorcerers. That's not really. I mean, I guess if
But
you
it gives them a
say,
fear resistance.
yeah, okay, that's a topic appropriate buff.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything left to say.
All
So
right.
thanks to Golem for being here, of course.
Thanks for having me.
Um, and thanks to everybody who watched this episode. And as always, until the next time, I hope you have a nice time.
See ya.